Every day the world loses legends, icons whose lives shaped our culture, our memories, our hearts. From actors to musicians, pioneers to visionaries, their stories deserve to be remembered and celebrated. Welcome back. Here we honor the lives, achievements, and legacies of those who passed. The news arrived quietly, yet it carried a heavy weight. Afrika Bambaataa, a name that shaped the sound and spirit of hip-hop, has passed away. Across the world, fans, artists, and communities paused, reflecting on a life that helped build a culture from the ground up. He was not just a musician. He was a movement. Born in the Bronx, New York, during a time of struggle and change, Bambaataa grew up surrounded by hardship. The streets were tough and choices were limited. Yet from that environment he found a different path, one guided by music, unity, and vision. In the early days of hip-hop, when it was still finding its voice, Bambaataa became one of its strongest leaders. He saw music as more than sound. To him it was a way to bring people together. A way to turn conflict into creativity. He helped form the Universal Zulu Nation, a group built on peace, knowledge, and expression. It was not just about beats or dance. It was about community. About giving young people a purpose beyond the streets. He showed us there was another way, one early member shared. He gave us a reason to believe in something bigger than ourselves. As a DJ, Bambaataa pushed boundaries. He mixed different sounds, blending funk, electronic music, and early rap into something new. His work helped define the early sound of hip-hop, influencing artists across generations. Tracks like Planet Rock changed how people heard music. It was bold. It was different. And it traveled far beyond the Bronx. Soon his influence reached Europe, Asia, and beyond, turning hip-hop into a global language. He didn't just play music, a fellow artist once said. He created a feeling, a movement you could feel in your chest. But his journey was never simple. As the years passed, Bambaataa's legacy became more complex. Alongside the praise and respect, serious allegations surfaced. These accusations brought pain and division within the community he once helped unite. Many fans struggled with this dual reality. The man who had built a culture of peace was now at the center of deep controversy. For some, it changed how they viewed his work. For others, it created difficult questions about separating art from the artist. "It's hard," one longtime fan wrote online. "We grew up inspired by him. But we also can't ignore the voices that came forward." Even in the face of this, his impact on music and culture remained undeniable. Historians of hip-hop often speak of him as one of its founding figures, alongside pioneers who turned small block parties into a worldwide movement. His story is one of creation but also of contradiction. A man who gave so much to a culture, yet left behind questions that may never fully be answered. In his later years, Bambaataa stepped back from the spotlight. The energy of his early days had faded, replaced by a quieter presence. Still, his name remained part of hip-hop's foundation, mentioned in documentaries, books, and conversations about where it all began. As news of his passing spread, tributes came in from across the globe. Some focused on his achievements. Others spoke with careful reflection, holding both respect and concern in the same space. Hip-hop wouldn't be what it is without him, one music historian shared. But history is never just one story. It's many voices all trying to be heard. In the Bronx, where it all started, people remembered the early days. The music in the parks. The energy in the air. The feeling that something new was being born. For many, Bambaataa was part of that beginning. A spark in a time of darkness. A figure who helped turn struggle into sound. His passing now closes a chapter in that long story. A chapter filled with rhythm, innovation, and difficult truths. In the end, Afrika Bambaataa leaves behind a legacy that cannot be placed into simple words. It is a mix of influence and controversy, of inspiration and reflection. What remains clear is the impact he had on a culture that changed the world. From the Bronx streets to global stages, his ideas helped shape a movement that continues to grow today. As the music plays on and new voices rise, the echoes of that early sound can still be heard. In the beats, in the message, in the spirit of unity that hip-hop continues to carry. And so he is remembered, not only for what he created but for the conversations his life now leaves behind. In memory, in music, and in the ongoing story of hip-hop culture, his presence will not be forgotten. The news was confirmed in a quiet, steady tone. Robert Duvall, one of the most respected and enduring actors in American cinema, has passed away. For many, it felt like the closing of a long and meaningful chapter in Hollywood history. His presence on screen was never loud, yet it was always powerful. He did not need grand gestures or heavy words. A look, a pause, a simple line, he could hold an audience with ease. That quiet strength became his signature, and it shaped a career that lasted for decades. Born in California and raised in a military family, Duvall's early life was shaped by discipline and movement. He later found his passion in acting, studying at the neighborhood playhouse in New York. There he trained alongside future stars, learning the craft with patience and care. In the early years he appeared in television roles, slowly building his name. Each performance added depth to his journey. He was not chasing fame. He was building something lasting. His breakthrough came with his role in To Kill a Mockingbird, where he played the quiet and mysterious Boo Radley. Though his screen time was brief, the impact was unforgettable. It was a sign of what was to come. Over time, Robert Duvall became known for choosing roles with meaning. He stepped into characters fully, bringing honesty and depth to each one. Whether playing a lawyer, a soldier, or a simple man, he made every role feel real. He never acted for attention, one film critic once said. He acted for truth. And that's why people believed him. His role as Tom Hagen in the Godfather series remains one of his most iconic. Calm, loyal, and thoughtful, the character stood out in a story filled with strong personalities. Duvall gave him a quiet authority that audiences still remember. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, his career reached new heights. Films like Apocalypse Now showed a different side of his talent. His portrayal of Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore was both intense and unforgettable. "I love the smell of napalm in the morning," became one of the most quoted lines in film history. Yet behind that line was a performance layered with complexity. In Tender Mercies, Duvall delivered one of his most heartfelt roles. Playing a broken country singer seeking redemption, he brought a softness that touched many. The role earned him an Academy Award, a moment that recognized years of dedication. He understood people, a fellow actor shared. Not just their words but their silence. That's what made him special. Even as he aged, Duvall never stepped away from his craft. He continued to take on roles that challenged him. He worked in independent films, often choosing stories that focused on real human struggles. Directors admired him. Younger actors learned from him. On set, he was known for his calm nature and deep focus. He did not seek attention off-screen. He let his work speak. In later years he remained active, appearing in films that showed his lasting presence. His voice, his expressions, his timing, nothing had faded. If anything, they had grown stronger with time. As news of his passing spread, tributes began to pour in. Actors, directors, and fans shared their memories, each one reflecting the deep respect he had earned. "One of the greatest to ever do it," a filmmaker wrote. "He taught us that less can be more." Another tribute read, "Robert Duvall didn't just play characters. He lived them. And through them he showed us parts of ourselves." Beyond the awards and recognition, it was his consistency that stood out. He never lost his connection to the craft. He never rushed his performances. Each role felt carefully shaped as if it truly mattered, because to him it did. His journey was not about fame or headlines. It was about storytelling. About bringing life to words on a page. About showing the world the quiet moments that often go unnoticed. For many fans, watching a Robert Duvall film felt personal. There was a sense of truth in his work, something steady and honest. He did not try to impress. He simply became the character. His passing now leaves a silence in the world of cinema. A space that cannot easily be filled. Yet his work remains, preserved in films that will continue to be watched for generations. In classrooms, young actors will study his scenes. In homes, families will revisit his films. His influence will move quietly just as he did. In the end, Robert Duvall's legacy is not just in the roles he played, but in the way he played them. With care. with patience, with respect for the story. He leaves behind a body of work that speaks without noise. A reminder that true greatness does not always shout, it often whispers. And as the lights dim and the screen fades to black, his presence remains. In every frame, every line, every quiet moment he gave to the world. He may be gone, but his voice, his craft, and his spirit will continue to live on, steady, timeless, and deeply human. The news came early, carried in a quiet tone that quickly spread across the baseball world. David Lopes has passed away. A name once heard in stadiums filled with cheering crowds is now being spoken with reflection and sadness. For many, it felt like the end of a steady rhythm that once guided a golden era of baseball. He was never the loudest on the field. He did not chase attention. But his presence was always felt. In every run, every defensive move, every moment of pressure, Lopes played with calm focus and discipline. He became known as the silent engine behind success. Born and raised with a deep love for the game, Lopes worked his way through the ranks with patience. He did not arrive in the spotlight overnight. He earned every step through hard work, early mornings, and endless practice sessions. When he joined the Los Angeles Dodgers organization, something began to change. Coaches quickly noticed his intelligence on the field. He understood timing. He understood space. And most of all, he understood teamwork. He didn't play for himself, one former teammate said. He played for the team. Every single time. His role may not have always been the center of headlines, but it was essential. Lopes brought speed to the base paths and sharp awareness in defense. He turned small moments into winning advantages. For his teammates, he was a trusted presence in every game. In the dugout, he was calm. On the field, he was precise. And in the locker room, he was respected not for loud speeches, but for consistency and character. One former coach once said, "You win championships with players like him. Not always the stars, but the ones who hold everything together." As the Dodgers built a powerful era, Lopes stood quietly at its core. He contributed to victories that would later define a generation of baseball fans. His name may not always appear first in statistics, but inside the organization his value was never in question. He was the kind of player every team needs, a former manager shared. Reliable, focused, and always ready when it mattered most. Fans who followed the team closely remember his style clearly. The quick movements, the smart decisions, the moments when a single play changed the energy of an entire game. He did not need celebration to make an impact. Over time, Lopes became more than just a player. He became a symbol of discipline, of quiet strength, of what it means to commit fully to a team without needing recognition. In later years, after stepping away from professional play, he remained connected to the game. He mentored younger players. He shared advice built from experience, often reminding them that success is built in silence long before it is seen in lights. "You don't have to be loud to be great," he once told a young athlete during a training session. "Just be consistent. The game will notice you." As news of his passing spread, tributes began to emerge from across the baseball community. Former teammates, coaches, and fans shared memories that painted a picture of a man deeply respected. One tribute read, "David Lopes was the definition of a team player. He gave everything, asked for nothing, and made everyone around him better." Another message from a former teammate said, "We didn't just lose a player. We lost the heart of our clubhouse in those years." Across social media, fans shared old clips and photos. Moments of stolen bases, quiet celebrations, and the steady presence that defined his career. Each post carried the same feeling, respect for a player who never needed fame to matter. His story was never about spotlight. It was about impact. About doing the work that often goes unseen but is always deeply felt within a team. In baseball history, names are often remembered for power and records. But David Lopes represents something different. He represents balance, effort, and the unseen foundation of success. For the Dodgers and their supporters, his contribution remains part of their identity. A reminder that greatness is not always loud. Sometimes it is steady. Sometimes it is quiet. As the game continues and new generations step onto the field, his influence remains present in the lessons he left behind. Play for the team. Stay disciplined. Trust the process. In the end, David Lopes leaves behind more than memories of games played. He leaves behind a standard of professionalism and humility that continues to inspire. And as stadium lights shine on new moments in baseball, his legacy remains in the background, steady, strong, and unforgettable. A quiet force that helped shape a dynasty, and a reminder that true greatness often works in silence.